Your daughter was breaking the rules by picking flowers, so I left her in the woods to teach her a lesson. As these words left the HOA president's mouth, she had no idea she just committed a crime against the child of the state's Chief Justice. She would soon learn that some lessons come at a devastating price. Before watching full Karen Stories, comment below from where you're watching. Also like and subscribe for more Karen Stories. Where is she? Where is my daughter? I screamed, my voice echoing through the quiet neighborhood streets. My hands were shaking as I gripped my phone, ready to call the police. Calm down, Mr. Evans, Patricia Wilson said, with an irritating smirk. Her perfectly styled blonde hair didn't move as she crossed her arms. I simply showed your daughter where children are actually allowed to play in this community. It's not my fault if she couldn't find her way back. I stepped closer, fury building inside me. My daughter is 3 years old and uses a Wii of her. What have you done with her? Patricia's eyes narrowed. That wheelchair was on community property without proper permits, and those unauthorized flowers she was picking are against HOA regulations. Rules are rules. You took a disabled child and left her somewhere because of flowers. My voice broke as panic surged through me. Several neighbors had come out of their homes watching in shock. The trail entrance is just past those trees, Patricia said, dismissively pointing toward the dense woods that bordered our neighborhood. I'm sure she's fine. Consider this a lesson in following community guidelines. I had never felt such rage in my life, but finding Emma came first. I deal with this woman later. As I sprinted toward the woods, I heard Patricia call after me, and those violations better be fixed by Monday, or the fines will double. I never told anyone in Oakwood Heights that I was the Chief Justice of our state Supreme Court. After 15 years as a judge, I wanted a normal life. When we moved here 3 months ago, I wanted Emma to have a fresh start, a safe place to grow up. Now I was running into the woods, desperately calling my daughter's name, wondering if she was scared, hurt, or worse. Emma wasn't always in a wheelchair. She was born healthy with bright eyes that lit up the room. But at 18 months old, she developed a rare neurological condition that affected her ability to walk. The doctor said she might walk again someday with therapy and special leg braces, but for now, at 3 years old, she relied on her wheelchair to get around. The past months had been peaceful until today, when the HOA president decided my daughter's disability was an inconvenience to her perfect neighborhood. I was working from home that Tuesday afternoon. While Sarah took Emma to physical therapy, a sharp knock interrupted my conference call. Standing on my porch was a woman with perfectly styled blonde hair, wearing a bright pink blazer and holding a clipboard. I'm Patricia Wilson, HOA president, she announced without a greeting. Your lawn violates 3 separate community guidelines. I looked at our yard, confused. The grass was freshly cut, the hedges trimmed. What violations? I asked. Stepping outside, Patricia pointed her manicured finger at Emma's swing. Unauthorized play equipment. All outdoor installations must be approved by the committee. Her finger moved to the colorful garden, unapproved plant varieties. Finally, she gestured to the small ramp we had installed at the side of the porch. And that thing is an eyesore. That thing is a wheelchair ramp for my daughter, I explained calmly. She has a disability. Patricia's expression didn't soften. Rules are rules. You'll need to submit proper paperwork and wait for approval. Until then, these violations must be corrected within 7 days, or you'll face daily fines. I took a deep breath. I understand you're doing your job, but the ramp is necessary for my daughter's access to our home, not my problem, Patricia said, handing me a violation notice. Everyone follows the same rules here. That's what keeps property values high. Before I could respond, she turned and walked away. Already scanning the next yard for infractions that evening, I explained the situation to Sarah. She suggested we attend the next HOA meeting to request accommodations for Emma's needs. It seemed reasonable enough. The following week, we hired a teenage neighbor to watch Emma while we attended the HOA meeting in the community center. As we entered the crowded room, Patricia was already at the podium reviewing the month's violations. When we raised our hands during the open forum, Patricia acknowledged us with a tight smile. We're here about the violation notice. I began. Our daughter Emma has a mobility disability, and we need to request reasonable accommodations for her wheelchair ramp and adaptive swing. Patricia cut me off. As I already explained, Mr. Evans, the proper procedure is to submit detailed plans and wait for committee approval. But the Fair Housing Act requires. Sarah started. We don't need lectures about laws. Patricia interrupted. This community has standards. If we make exceptions for one person, everyone will want special treatment. Several neighbors nodded in agreement. Others looked uncomfortable but remained silent. The ramp is temporary, I tried to explain, and the swing is specially designed for therapy. Submit the paperwork like everyone else, Patricia said firmly. Next item. As we drove home, Sarah was in tears. How can people be so heartless? It's just bureaucracy, I assured her, though I was starting to wonder if it was something more. I'll submit their paperwork tomorrow. The next day, I filed all the required forms, including a doctor's note explaining Emma's condition. I even attached a copy of the relevant Fair Housing Act provisions, highlighted for clarity. Then we waited 2 weeks past with no response. The violation notices continued to arrive now with added fines. I called Patricia several times, but she never returned my calls. Then came the day that changed everything. It was Saturday morning. Sarah had gone grocery shopping while I worked in the home office. Emma was playing in the living room nearby, coloring in her favorite book. When I stepped out to get coffee, I noticed Emma wasn't there. The front door was slightly ajar. Panic surged through me. Emma couldn't go far in her wheelchair, but she'd never gone outside alone before. Emma? I called, rushing onto the porch. To my relief, I spotted her in the front yard, her wheelchair parked on the grass. She was reaching for a butterfly on one of Sarah's flowers. As I walked toward her, a car screeched to a halt in front of our house. Patricia Wilson stepped out, phone in hand, taking pictures. "What are you doing?" I asked, documenting continued violations. She said coldly, "The garden was supposed to be removed days ago. We submitted the paperwork." I replied, "We haven't heard back yet." Patricia ignored me, walking closer to take more photos. Emma, startled by the woman's presence, began to cry. "Daddy, who is she?" Emma asked, her small voice trembling. "It's okay, sweetheart," I assured her, moving toward her wheelchair. Patricia stepped between us. "Is this why you want special treatment? She seems fine to me." I felt my temper rising but kept my voice calm. "Please move aside so I can take my daughter inside." "You know what your problem is?" Patricia said, leaning down toward Emma. "Your parents think rules don't apply to them? They think you deserve special treatment." Emma's eyes widened with fear. "That's enough," I said firmly. "You're frightening my child. You want to know what frightens me?" Patricia's voice rose. "People who move into nice neighborhoods and immediately try to turn them into something else. If you can't follow simple rules, maybe you should live somewhere else." She turned to Emma again. "Your parents are teaching you bad habits. Rules matter." Emma began to sob. I'd never felt such anger in my life. "Step away from my daughter now." My voice was quiet, but left no room for argument. Patricia straightened up with a huff. "Fine, deal with your crying child, but those violations better be fixed by Monday, or the fines will double." As she walked back to her car, she paused to take more photos off our backyard. I knelt alongside Emma, trying to comfort her, when I heard the car door of Patricia's car slam shut. Looking up, I saw her speeding away, but Emma's wheelchair was gone. I just stood there in shock. Patricia had kidnapped Emma's wheelchair with Emma in my arms. I ran out to the far end of the driveway, screaming for Patricia to stop. She sped around the corner and out of sight. I ran back inside and contacted the police, reporting the theft. Then I called Sarah, who immediately returned home while I waited. I held Emma close, reassuring her everything would be okay. She clung to me, still shaken by the ordeal. "Why doesn't that lady like me, Daddy?" she asked between hiccuping sobs. "It's not about you, sweetheart." I reassured, some folks just lose their way to being kind. The police arrived within minutes. As I related what had happened, the officers became more and more stern. "She took a disabled child's wheelchair," one officer affirmed, writing in his book, "and she's the HOA president." "Yeah," I said. "We've been trying to get approval for Emma's accommodations, but she's been stonewalling us at every turn." The officer's radio crackled after hearing the message. He turned to me with a strange look. "Sir, we just got called by Park Services. A wheelchair has been found at the entrance to Oakwood Nature Trail. That's a little more than half a mile from here." My blood ran cold. "She dumped my daughter's wheelchair in the woods." The officers exchanged looks. "We'll get it back right away, sir." By the time Sarah returned home, the situation had erupted. News vans crowded the street. Apparently someone had witnessed Patricia stealing the wheelchair and called not only the police, but also the local news station. An officer returned with Emma's wheelchair. One wheel was bent and the frame was scratched. Emma cried when she saw it. "My chair is hurt," she whimpered. That was the moment I decided, Anne,